what I'm most interested in and what I write about is the very deep dynamic at psychological levels, emotional levels, spiritual levels, ethical levels of what it means to teach and to learn. And it's this also that, in a sense, brought me to Zen Buddhism, or perhaps it was the other way around. Perhaps Zen Buddhism brought me to this interest, since its focus is so much on receiving and giving reality. And we'll be talking more about that specifically as we go on. A little bit about myself, since I imagine you'd want to know. I was born in Tucson, Arizona in 1953, in the outskirts of Tucson, way, way away even from the small town known as Tucson, the village really of about 20,000 people at that time. I lived way out in the southwestern suburbs of that, I guess you would say. Between me and Mexico was nothing but 40 miles of virgin desert and the Papago Indian Reservation. Now, I believe they're known as the Tonodam. 15 miles to the east of where I was brought up was the Yaqui Reservation. So I grew up in that kind of cultural context. Also, to the east, to the north of me, rather, where I grew up, were the Latino and African American barrios and ghettos. And so I grew up in an extremely multicultural, culturally exciting environment that has informed me in many ways and led to me doing a doctorate in the cultural foundations of education, which I now presently teach along with depth psychology and education and cultural studies. I guess one of the things I'm proudest about in my life is that I was class president of my junior and senior high school classes for 5 years. To be the class president in an environment like that reassured me that I not only fit in comfortably into various cultural contexts, but that I perhaps had something to offer too. My heritage is itself very multicultural. My mother was Jewish from Manhattan, born in the 30s. My father, born in the 20s, was Italian, Roman Catholic Italian, and from the Bronx. I grew up without any particular kind of religious education or shaping. And in my 30s, however, became a Christian. Underwent a kind of a fiery conversion at that time. Oh gosh, almost 30 years ago now. I often joke that I'm the only Jewish Italian who's ever gone to Japan to find Christ. My conversion to Christianity in 1987 was in the context of both teaching British and American culture at a couple of universities in Nagoya, Japan, and also in my ongoing interest in Zen, which I've had since I was 19 and have been reading and practicing in it since then. My first question when I converted to Christ in my own personal journey was, can these things go together? And they can, and they do, in many exciting ways that many Christians from every tradition, I think, and every denomination that I'm aware of has used to deepen their meditation on Christ, to deepen their understanding of what it means to be Christ-like in the environment that they're in, to meditate on Scripture. There are a wide variety of ways in which Christianity, which to me is my governing center, and Zen practice, which for me is less of a religion and more of a technique of achieving psychological clarity and centering, no matter one's faith, religion, or faith tradition, or even if one doesn't have one. I often lead my students and hope that they will lead their students in something that is called cultural reflectivity, reflecting on yourself as a member of a culture, or what is much more likely, as we all are in America today, or almost all of us, a variety of cultures, all put together in one person. Every person in the United States is a kind of multicultural site. By reflecting on that, one is able to take in even more authentically and deeply what is growthful for oneself in a psychological, ethical, and spiritual way. And one is able to question those things that are questionable and revise them or perhaps even expunge them in order to become a more authentic person, more deeply engaged with others. Reflectivity at all different levels of our being is really another name for meditation. Meditation is sitting, breathing, watching what comes up, not judging it, observing it in order to understand its reality, and then to let it go. And to do so from a still, centered place.